So let's begin to write the sales letter. In this specific video, I'll be talking about the upper part of the sales letter, such as the headline, subheadline, addressing your prospect, and the introduction of the sales letter. The headline is what grabs the viewer and the prospect into wanting to read further down your sales letter. If the headline is catchy, it'll do just that. If it's not, it'll have the opposite effect. There's actually many different types of headlines. The headline is a very, very crucial part of your sales letter. It can make or break your actual sales letter. Let's take a quick look at a few headlines. If we go back to the Instant Covered Pack sales letter, you'll notice that we have the headline here. It's what you see at the top, and this right here is a subheadline, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. The headline is written in red normally, and you can also make it bold and put words, keywords, make them stand out by using underlines, bolds, italicize, highlighting, as you can see here. And you can also do strike-throughs to strike through words. Now, most headlines promise a benefit because, of course, if you're reading this, then you want to know, how is this product or service, before I even read it, how is it going to actually help me? Right now it says, discover my one-of-a-kind method that instantly generates professional e-covers on the fly to maximize your product's perceived value, impress visitors, and skyrocket your conversion rates starting today. So in this headline, you can see it's sort of like a cause and effect. You can discover those e-cover, or you discover that product, and that product will do what? So this is the cause and effect. It will maximize your product's perceived value, impress visitors, blah blah blah. So the one thing to think about when you create your headline is think about your product, and you can say something like discover this or how to do this. And the most important thing to remember is that when you write your headline, you can list out benefits. You're promising a big benefit. So you can say you get this benefit, you get this benefit, and you get this benefit. Or you get this thing, you get this thing, and you get this thing. But by telling people what they get, it doesn't fulfill their needs and their problems. You say you get this, this, and this, but you also get this, which does this. So it's a cause and effect kind of deal. Or let's take, for example, this sales letter here. We say revealed how to send your online income through the roof with professionally made videos with private label rights. And then you have a subheadline that allows them to move down. But what I'm saying here is you can tell them, okay, how to do this with this. So you get this benefit, this is the benefit, and this is the actual product as being the solution. So hopefully you're getting the idea that it's, you get this, but what does this actually do for the prospect? Now let's dive into different types of headlines. There are many different types of headlines. However, when you actually write your headline, you can combine 3 or more of these types of headlines together into one big headline so that you can hit different points. So let's go over those 5 headline types. The first one I want to talk about is the news or informational headline. The news or informational headline is something that you would probably find in a newspaper, or something that allows the prospect to learn something new that they might not have already known previously. This e-cover creates shiny looking e-covers. That would be informational. Now the next headline that I want to talk about is a guarantee headline or a promise headline. What you're doing in this headline is you're promising or guaranteeing the prospect something. Like this, for instance. We say here that our e-cover method will maximize your product's perceived value, impress visitors, and skyrocket your conversion rates starting today. So starting today would be sort of like a guarantee. The third type of headline that I'll be talking about is a selective to a specific group. So it's a selective headline that is pointed directly to a specific group that has specific problems, such as to everybody who has the flu, everybody that has a cold, or to everybody that has allergies, to a specific group. And you have to be careful when you use these types of headlines, because if you're writing to a general group, then you might not want to use a specific selective headline. But if you're writing to a specific niche, like people who have the flu, then you can say to everybody who has the flu, and you only want to target these specific people. Fourth, we have the curious headline. Well, curious headlines is they arouse interest, but the only problem is that sometimes people can see them as deceptive or clever or tricky. So, as I mentioned earlier about these other headlines at the end, is they can be specific, but they can still, you can push people away if they read it, so you got to be careful about that. And lastly, we have the hard sell or demand headline. Of course, as you know, hard sell would be something like, get it now, grab your copy today, otherwise it's going to be gone, Basically a hard sell method of saying, get it now, get it now, get it now. And it's okay if you use parts of these in your headline, but you don't want to use just specifically one. Because if you only use the hard sell, then nobody's probably going to buy from you, because they're going to be like, well, why should I buy from you? So you might want to include the informational guarantee hard sell, or informational guarantee selective specific group, or sometimes this and this. But you want to use a combination in your headline. So now that I've talked about the headline, let's move on to the next areas of the sales letter. After you write this headline, writing the subheadline and addressing your prospect in the introduction, all that is going to be easy. So let's move on to the subheadline here. If we look at this sales letter again, we notice that the subheadline is located right underneath the headline. So you can say something like, as I'll read this, it says, finally, you don't have to dish out a small fortune to hire a graphic designer. So you're sort of addressing the purpose here. You're saying, well, in the headline talked about my e-cover, one-of-a-kind method e-cover that does this, and my one-of-a-kind method, you won't have to dish out a fortune to hire a graphic designer. So basically your subheadline's goal is to build upon the headline so that people can read below that. So it sort of complements the headline. Or we can take a look at this one. You'll notice that I have the headline up here, and I say read below, and I actually ask them to read below to uncover how these branded videos could be your missing link to earning ridiculous piles of cash. So basically my goal is to use this sub-headline here to complement the headline here to get them to read below that. Now, as far as format goes, you'll notice that the sub-headline is much smaller, so you want to make it so that it is at least less than half of the size of your headline. You want to make the headline stand out. And that moves us immediately to addressing the prospect. Now, if I go to the sales page here, you'll notice that right below that we have from the keyboard of Edmund Lowe, blah blah blah. So that would be addressing the prospect. And you would say, dear friend, such and such. Now, it's up to you if you want to use dear friend or dear, I think I have something different here, dear colleague. So it really depends on you if you want to use dear friend, dear, e-cover specialist, or dear to-be e-cover expert, stuff like that. But honestly, it's just probably better just to say dear friend or dear colleague or something general. But if you want to make it specific and only do it selective towards a specific group, you could do that too. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to say from so-and-so. It doesn't matter if you say from the keyboard of, from the desk of. I know I use from the desk of a lot. And you can have the date. So here's a layout of it. You got the headline, subheadline, and you can say from the desk of your name. And it's up to you if you want to include an image of yourself. If you do, I would recommend just putting it right above here. So you could click there and click on image, and basically you'll want to choose file and find your image. And just press OK and click this and press OK. And you'll have your image there. And of course you want to say from the desk of your name and then put the date and today's date. Now, if you don't want to put today's date and you want something that will constantly change the date every single day, for example, today is September 2nd, but what he did was he included a script right here that will show the prospect the actual date. And to get that, let me show you where you can get that script. Right now I am at google.com and I want to go to a site called Dynamic Drive. So I'll go ahead and search that and click on this. And what we're looking for here are date and time. So go click on date and time, and you're looking for a script that might be compatible with Firefox, IE, and Opera. Since most people use IE and Firefox, that's what we're looking for. So it's up to you whatever you want to pick here. I normally just pick the basic stuff. So whatever script that you use, you'll have to follow the instructions. Normally it'll say add the code below to your HTML page, and by doing so, all you have to do is make sure that you replace this token variable here with the script. So what I normally do, I'll move this up so you can see it, but I'll name the date something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I'll go into the source code and I'll find that. Now basically take the code and replace that token variable, or that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with the actual JavaScript. And that way you don't even have to know any HTML or web coding. So next, that takes us to the introduction paragraph. The introduction paragraph is located right after the Dear So-and-so area, and I'll show you that by looking at these sales letters here. You'll notice that I have Dear Colleague and I have questions here, and from this point to about this point, that's the introduction that I'm using. And then we're looking at Edmund's page here, and from the Dear Friend, we have from here to here. That's pretty much the introduction. And then of course you announce the product. We'll actually talk about that in the next video. In the introduction, it's very important to keep your readers constantly reading, because what they're going to be asking is, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? So you really need to have words that you can engage them with so that they can constantly be excited about it, so they can continue reading down the sales page. So what you need to do is you need to address existing problems. And let me give you an example here. This is another sales page here, and I'm addressing them. I say Dear Friend and ClickBank Affiliate Marketer, and then I address some problems. And you'll notice that these problems are actually listed as a positive use. So one thing, it says avoid from having your affiliate commission stolen, because a lot of ClickBank affiliate marketers have their affiliate commission stolen. So that's one big thing. And then save time and effort. Time and money are probably the biggest things that people face. So we talk about that there. So as you're beginning to think what's in it for them, you can list out 4 or 5 or 3 to 5 different things that you think that will hit their needs and solve their needs and address their problems. So usually I start out with these, and then if you checked any of these boxes, continue reading down just so you can keep them going down the page and reading it. The second thing you want to do is you want to relate to them. Use your credibility, your expertise, And here is another example where I asked them questions. I said, does this sound like you? And you address the problems that they face. I can't sell anything. Nobody buys my stuff, which is a common issue. And when people read that, they think, okay, well, I want to read further down. And then you talk about how easy it is to sell videos. And then perhaps you can provide testimonials of people who are actually using your product and actually making money with that. So you want to make it believable so that you can use your credibility, use your expertise to show them and relate to them with their problem. Once you address the problems and relate to them, then you can announce your solution, which I'll be talking about in the next video.